Next, we have the influencing chemical reaction or the polarity. So, the ideal covalent bond kasi is electrically neutral. However, when the atoms have a different electronegativities, the bonding of the electrons are displaced. And it will lead to the creating of the polarity. And this polarity influences how the molecules react with the other substance. Example, we have the hydrochloric acid. So, the chlorine attracts the electrons since it has a higher electrons compared to hydrogen. So, therefore, it creates a polar bond. Kaya mas reactive si HCl sa water. Or in Tagalog, since we have a sample of hydrochloric acid, mas malakas humila ng electrons yung chlorine kasi mas marami siyang electrons compare kay hydrogen. Therefore, nagiging polar bond siya. Kaya mas reactive si hydrochloric acid sa water. Okay? Still under influencing chemical reactions or polarity, we have the inductive effect. So this is defined as the permanent displacement of electrons in a covalent bond due to the electronegativity difference between the atoms. And this effect is transmitted through the sigma bonds. So for example, you have an atom with a higher negativity. Therefore, it attracts the electrons. Or in Tagalog, if you have an atom with higher electronegativity, hihilain niya yung electrons para siyang electron pool that will affect the whole molecule. Okay? Still under influencing chemical reactions, and we have the different types of inductive effect. And the first one is the negative inductive effect. Okay? So, the negative inductive effect refers to the electron withdrawing groups, and these groups pulls the electron away from the carbon chain, decreasing the electron density and making the molecule less reactive to the positive charges. So what are the different examples for this negative inductive effect? So we have the nitro group, the cyano group, the fluorine, and chlorine. So this four has a negative inductive effect. So a good example of compound is the methyl combined with the chlorine. So what the chlorine is doing is that it attracts the electron, kaya mas positive yung carbon. In simple explanation, the more electronegativities, mas malakas humila ng electron. Okay? The more it attracts electron. The higher the electronegativity, the higher the chance that it will attract more electrons. Okay? Still under influencing chemical reaction or the polarity. So the second type of inductive effect is the positive inductive effect, wherein it refers to the electron donating groups, and these groups pushes the electrons towards the carbon chain. Therefore, there's an increase in electron density. And what are the examples for this one? We have the methyl group. Okay, so all of the methyl group contains a positive inductive effect. Okay, so what happens is that, for example, we have methyl combined with another methyl group. So what is the alkyl group doing is that tinutulak niya yung electron papunta dun sa carbon. Or in Taglish, the more na mas maraming alkyl group, mas marami yung positive inductive effect. Okay? Still under influencing chemical reaction or the polarity. So we have the resonance concept. Okay? So resonance occurs when the molecule can be represented by one or more valid Lewis structure that can differ only in electron placement. And the real structure is a resonance hybrid. Okay? So, in Tagalog, once pinagsama-sama mo yung mga structures, therefore, makakabuo ka ng resonance hybrid. Still under resonance, so the common resonance examples includes acetate ion or the CH3COO negative. The second one is the carbonate ion or the CO3 2 negative, okay? And the last example is the benzene ring. So these molecules are stabilized by the localized electrons, okay? So for the CH3COO or the acetate ion, it has an equivalent or equal bond strength. While for the benzene ring, it doesn't have an alternating single and double bonds. Pero mas stable siya because of the resonance. Still under resonance, so this image explains resonance in organic chemistry. So on the top structure, that is the electron delocalization in a carboxylate type system where the negative charge is shared between oxygen atoms. While on the bottom structures, that is the carbonate ion or the CO3 2 negative, where all the three carbon to oxygen bonds are equivalent due to the resonance. So the resonance increases the stability because of the charge, and the electrons are spread out rather than localized on one atom. Next, let's have the different rules for resonance forms. So we have rule 1 and rule 2 for this slide. So rule 1 is that the individual resonance forms are imaginary. Only the resonance hybrid represents the actual molecule. Or in Tagalog, hindi talaga nag-exist yung bawat structure, okay? Nagiging guide lang sila to understand the structure. That is rule number 1, okay? So for the rule number 2, resonance forms differ only in the placement of the pi bond or lone pair electrons, not the atom position. Okay? So in Tagalog, it is the electrons that is moving, not the atoms. Okay? Still under the rules for resonance form, so this image shows how the resonance structures are formed by moving the electrons, okay? So the curved arrows indicates the movement of the electrons, either lone pairs or pi electrons sila. Okay? And then for the lone pair on one oxygen, it moves to form a carbon-oxygen double bond. At the same time, the pi electrons of the original carbon-oxygen double bond move into the another oxygen, becoming a lone pair. And this creates a new resonance structure where the double bond and the negative charge switch position. So what is the key idea in here? That atoms do not move, only the electrons does. Okay? And the real molecule is a resonance hybrid where the electrons are shared between atoms, making the molecule more stable. Still under the rules for resonance forms, we have rule number 3 wherein it states in there that resonance forms do not need to be equivalent. Some contribute more to the hybrid than the others. Or in Tagalog, may mga mas importanteng structure kesa sa iba dahil mas stable sila. Next, we have rule number 4, wherein all resonance forms must obey normal valency rules. Or in Tagalog, hindi pwedeng sumobra yung valence atom kahit resonance pa siya. Next, rule number 5 of the resonance form. So the resonance hybrid is more stable than any other individual resonance form. So this image shows the resonance forms, which explains how the electrons move within a molecule while the atoms remain fixed. So the curved arrows indicates the movement of the lone pairs or the pi electrons. Well, on the top example, we have the lone pair on oxygen that moves to form a carbon-oxygen double bond. While it exists or there's an existing double bond shifts to another position. And on the bottom example, we have the electrons that move across a conjugated system that shows how the double bonds and charges can shift along the molecule. And these different drawings are resonance structures that do not separate the molecules. And the key idea of these resonance forms is that the real molecule is a resonance hybrid, where the electrons are delocalized over several atoms, and this delocalization makes the molecule more stable. And the bonds that is involved become partially double bond in character rather than strictly single or double. So on these slides, it explains the basics of the Lewis dot structure and the bonding in organic compound. So what is Lewis dot structure? So this one shows the valence or the outer shell electrons of an atom using dots around the atomic symbols, and these electrons are the ones involved in bonding. Well, Lewis' theory states that atoms can lose, gain, or share electrons to achieve a stable outer shell, usually with 8 electrons or the octet rule, following the octet rule. Okay? And what is bond? Bond is the attractive force that holds the two atoms or ions together, formed when electrons are shared or transferred. So in summary of that, Lewis dot structure help us visualize how the atoms bond, how the electrons are arranged, and why molecules form a stable structure. Next, still under the bonding in organic compounds, the Lewis dot structure. So Lewis dot structure show how the atoms are connected in a molecule, and the dots represents the valence electrons. So this Lewis dot structure help us to see the lone pairs or the electrons that was not used in binding, and also they show if an atom has a formal charge of positive or negative. Example is the image on this slide wherein we have the water, the hydronium, and the hydroxide. Wherein the water or the H2O, oxygen has a lone pairs in there, but no charge, okay? And then for the hydronium or the H3O positive, we have an oxygen that is positively charged in there, in the hydronium ion. And for the hydroxide or the OH negative, the oxygen present in there has a negative charge, okay? So the Lewis dot structure in here help us easily understand the bonding electron and charges in the molecules. Still under the Lewis dot structure. So Lewis dot structure shows us the valence electrons in the forms of bonds or in the forms of dots around atoms. And a pair of dots between atoms means these are the bonds. Okay? So what are the different bonds that is shown in this image or in this slide? Okay? So we have this three wherein for the single bond, it is equivalent to one pair of electrons or two dots. For the double bond, we have two pairs of electrons or four dots. And lastly, we have the triple bond or the three pairs of electrons equivalent to six dots. So what are the examples that is shown in these slides? So atoms like carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen form a bond to complete their outer shell through an octet rule. And dots that do not share between atoms are considered as the lone pairs. So we have to take note that Lewis dot structure help us easily to see how the atoms bond, how many bonds they form, and where are the lone pairs are located. Okay? Still under the bonding in organic compounds wherein we have the Lewis dot structure. So this image shows that Lewis dot structure of common molecules to explain how the atoms bond using a valence electron. So the dot represents the valence electron and the lines between the atoms represent the shared electron pairs or the bonds, okay? Well, the atoms form bonds to complete their outer shell, usually 8 electrons, following the octet rule. So what are the examples that is shown in this slide? So we have the water, the ammonia, the methane, the hydrogen chloride, the ethylene, the acetylene, the formaldehyde, and the carbonic acid. So if you will going to observe this image, the dot represents how many electrons is in there. So for every line that they have, that is considered 2 electrons. For example, we will count the electrons present in the water. So we have 2 single bonds in there. Okay, so a total of 4 electrons and 2 on the above oxygen and the lower for the lower oxygen for a total of 8 electrons present in this compound of water. Okay, on the ammonia, so we have 3 single bonds in there equivalent to 6 electrons already. And there is 2 electrons present on the top of the nitrogen. So 6 plus 2, we have a total of 8 electrons. Okay, while for the methane, we have 4 single bonds. So times 2, okay? So it is equivalent for 8 electrons. For the hydrogen chloride, we have 1 single bond. So that is equivalent to 2. And we have 6 electrons attached to the chlorine. So 6 plus 2, that is equivalent to 8 electrons. And for the ethylene, we have 1 double bond equivalent to 4 plus 4 single bond plus 4 single bond is equivalent to 8. 8 plus 4, that is equivalent to 12. Okay? For the acetylene, we have triple bond, so that is equivalent to 6. And we have 2 single bond equivalent to 4 valence electrons. So 4 plus 6, that is equivalent to 10 electrons. For the formaldehyde, we have we have 2 single bond and 1 double bond. So that is equivalent to 8 valence electrons plus 4 valence electrons attached to the oxygen. So that is equivalent to 12. And lastly, we have the carbonic acid wherein we have 4 single bonds that is equivalent to 8. Then we have 1 double bond that is equivalent to 4. So far we have a total of 12. And then we have a total of valence electron that is attached on oxygen. So in total, we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 12 plus 12 equals to 24 valence electron for the carbonic acid. Okay, copy. Still under bonding in organic compounds. Okay, so on this slide, it explains the usual bonding patterns of common atoms in organic compounds when they have no formal charge and no unpaired electrons. For example, we have the hydrogen and the halogens. So for the halogens, we have the fluorine, chlorine, bromine, and iodine. So these elements always form one covalent bond because they only need one more electron to complete their outer shell. Okay? So for the oxygen, it forms two covalent bonds since it needs two electrons to complete its octet. Okay? While for the nitrogen, it forms three covalent bonds because it needs three more electrons to complete its octet. And the carbon forms four covalent bonds, making it the backbone of the organic compound. So, in summary of everything, each atom forms a specific number of bonds to become stable. So, this predictable bonding helps us draw the correct Lewis structure and understand how the molecules are built. So still under the bonding in organic compounds, so we have the Kekulé structures, okay? So in this slide, we will be introducing the Kekulé structures, which are the simplified ways of drawing molecules, okay? So the bonds are shown as lines instead of electron dots. So one line is equivalent as a single bond, two lines is equivalent as a double bond, and three lines is equivalent as a triple bond. And lone pairs or lone pair electrons are usually not drawn to keep the structure clean and easy to read. And lone pairs are the only shown when they are important for explaining the molecule's behavior, like the reactivity or the charge. Okay? So why do we use Kekulé structure? This makes the molecule easier and faster to grow, especially in organic chemistry, while still clearly showing how the atoms are connected. Still under bonding in organic compounds, we have the condensed structure. So this is the shorter way to write the molecules. So instead of drawing all the bonds, we write the atoms next to each other. The atoms attached to the same carbon or nitrogen or oxygen are grouped together. Subscript shows how many atoms are present and the bonds are understood, not to drawn, okay? So for example, we have the CH4 or the methane. So carbon bonded to 4 hydrogens. For the methylamine, we have the CH3 and H2, wherein the methyl group is attached to the nitrogen group, okay? While for the hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen, ayan, they are attached to each other. And the formic acid or the HCO2H. So the CO2H shows that two oxygens are attached in there. So the purpose of this, writing in this way, it makes the structure faster to write and easier to read, especially for the organic molecules, okay? So on this slide, as you can see from this slide, we have the different example of compounds that is written in Kekulé structure and condensed structure. So Kekulé structure shows that all the atoms and all bonds clearly using lines. They are very detailed and helpful for learning how the atoms are connected. Well, for the condensed structure kasi, they are shorter and simpler because they omit most bond lines and group atoms together. Ayan, they group the atoms together like for the methyl group. Ayan. And also for the condensed structure, they use parentheses to show the repeating or the side groups. Okay? So, in short, Kekulé is detailed and complete, while for the condensed structure, it is very compact and easier to write, but it shows the same molecule. Okay? Next slide, this is just the continuation of the previous slide, providing more examples of compounds that is written in Kekulé structure and condensed structure. Still under bonding in organic compounds, wherein we have the skeletal structures, okay? So why do we use skeletal structures in organic compounds? Because they make more complex molecules faster and easier to be drawn. Another reason is that they clearly show the carbon framework of the molecule. But in a more shorter explanation, this skeletal structure are simplified way to draw organic molecules, where the carbons are assumed at the line ends or corner, and the hydrogens are understood not to be shown. So still under skeletal structure, so we have this slide that shows the examples of skeletal structures and how they relate to full structural formulas. So let's have the explanation for this one. So the zigzag lines that represents the carbon-to-carbon bonds on the upper left image of this slide, okay? And then in each corner or lined end, there's the double one carbon atom, and then there's this hydrogen atoms that is not shown, but they are assumed so that each carbon has 4 bonds, okay? And heteroatoms like the oxygen and nitrogen are written explicitly, and the hydrogen attached to them may also be shown. Okay, so what the images shows. On the top structure, a more complex molecule where only the carbon framework is simplified, while the nitrogen and oxygen are shown because they affect the reactivity, okay? While on the bottom left, we have the skeletal structure of an ether, While on the bottom right, we have the expanded Lewis structure of the same molecule, showing all carbons and hydrogens. So in short, the skeletal structure are the shortcut way to draw an organic molecule, keeping the important atoms such as the carbon framework, the oxygen, the nitrogen, etc., while omitting the most hydrogen for clarity and simplicity. Okay? And easier explanation, lines are the bonds, the corner and the line ends are the carbon atoms, and hydrogen and carbons are hidden because they are assumed to be there. And oxygen and nitrogen are always written because they are important. Okay? So instead of drawing every atom, skeletal structures simplify the drawing but still show the correct molecule. Okay? So think of it as a shortcut of drawing an organic compound that makes structure faster and easier to read. Okay? Still under the bonding in organic compounds, we have the Sahar structures, okay? So this Sahar structure shows the 3D shape of a molecule so that we can see how the atoms are arranged in space. So for the solid line, that is the bond in flat, okay? And then for the solid wedge, bond is coming out of the paper, okay? For the dotted wedge or dash, bond is going into the paper, okay? So the purpose of this one is that it makes a lot easier for us to see the back and the front and the middle part of the molecule, okay? So on this slide, it shows the Sacher structure, which is used to show the 3D shape of the molecule comparing to the 2D structure, okay? So as you can see from the image, the carbon is at the center that is bonded with the hydrogen atoms, and the solid line that shows the bonds that lie flat on the paper, and the solid wedges shows bonds coming out toward you. And then the dotted wedges shows the bonds going back or away from you. So the purpose of this Sahar structure is that it helps us visualize the 3D dimension arrangement of the atoms, not in just 2D structure. And the 2D structure of this sample or this compound is the one on the right side. Okay, so in short, Sacher structure help us see how the atoms are arranged in space and which bonds point forward, backward, or stay in the plane. Okay? So that ends our discussion for the part 4 of this module, and that is the last discussion that we will have for module 1. So thank you for listening. Okay? So for any questions or concerns, you may email me or chat me through Google Chat or email me using my AUF email. Okay? So that's all. Thank you. Bye-bye.